So basically, Hope House started in 2000. We started trying to open a home for teen moms in 2000, and in 2003, we actually were told that we were going to have permission to move into this house, into this building. It used to sit on a different piece of property, and the house and the land that it sat on had been purchased by Rocky Mountain Housing, and their intention was to tear the house down and build low-income townhomes on that property. So basically the deal they offered us was that we could move into the house and stay there for as long as it took them to get annexed into the city of Arvada, which was, we thought would be about 2 years. So we thought we'd have about 2 years to start our program, start raising money while we're actually operating, get some teenage moms to, bring some teenage moms into our residential program. And we took the first two teenage moms in June of 2003, and 9 months later they called us and said they got annexed into the city. So it was a very short period of time. We barely had time to start figuring out what we thought looked really good on paper for our program, and then what really didn't work in real life with real life people. So we had kind of barely just gotten started, and were not prepared to have to move or to raise the money for a building or anything like that at that point. So it was a little bit of a shock. So we put the word out. We're trying to figure out where we could move to, and really I just wasn't sure what we were going to do. And so the president of Rocky Mountain Housing called me up about a month later after we'd been looking around and said that their board had met and they decided they were going to give us the building, but we had to pick it up and move it off of their property if we wanted it. So that's great and was wonderful and was a huge gift. However, we know nothing about picking up a house and moving it off of their property. So they give us this building, and what we ended up doing was getting a loan against this is a ranch house, so it had a basement there, has a basement here as well. We got a loan against the top half of the ranch house because the basement, of course, would get plowed under when the house was moved. We were able to get a $100,000 loan, which seemed like a lot of money, so we were very happy. We thought, we can probably find somewhere that we could buy the land and at least get the house moved for $100,000. Turns out that $100,000 is not very much money. And the gentleman that we had gotten to move the house, to pick it up and move it, basically gave us a 7-mile parameter and said you can move within about 7 miles, which I didn't really know why at the time we could only move within a 7 or 10 mile area. But we got a real estate agent. The real estate agent started looking around. Basically there was nowhere that we could afford, and certainly nowhere within a 7 or 10 mile parameter. So the night that she called me and said, basically you're done, there's nowhere to put this house, and I had to go to work the next day and tell everybody, I don't know why God would give us a house and not give us land. And which this has been a constant test of my faith. Like, you would think I would be the most faithful person in the world after everything God's done, but no, I'm always questioning him, going, okay, Lord, why would you give us a house and not give us land? So I go to work to tell everybody that we're done, and I hadn't had the courage to do it yet, and at 10 a.m. the phone rang, and it was the pastor from the church next door to us now, who I had never met in my life. And he calls me up and he says, are you the people looking for land? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, we have something we want to give you. And I'm like, give us? So I probably was not properly grateful because I was so shocked. I pretty much was just like, what are you talking about? Who are you? And the way that it happened was that they had a lady who was a member of their church who was also had adopted our laundry room, and she and her little Bible study were bringing laundry soap for our for our laundry room. And she came one day to bring the soap, and Robin, our program director, told her what was going on, that we were going to have to move. And so she went and told her pastor that, hey, this place, Hope House, is looking for a place to put their house. And he said, well, we have land. And it turned out that this church had zoned this property 25 years ago for a group home, for a maternity home. So the zoning was already set before I was ever even a teenage mom even, which is really humbling to know that God knows, he really does know the beginning from the end. Like, he knew what he was going to do on this land way before I ever even was a teenage mom. So it was very cool that it just had all been arranged. So we have a wonderful relationship with the church next door who donated the land, and pretty much as we go through the house and take a tour, you can point to just about anything and I can tell you a God story about how it got donated, because really everything from the excavation of the basement to the roof was donated. So we had about $150,000 loan for what ended up being a house and land that appraised at about $750,000. So really cool God stuff.